What is up, Renegades? Welcome to Renegade Con. My name is Anais. I'm the product development specialist here at Renegade. And today I'm joined by two very special guests that need no introduction, but I'm going to have them introduce themselves anyway. Why don't you say hi to the people? Matt?
Hey, my name is Matt Dinniman. I am the author of the Dungeon Crawler Carl book series.
My name's Jeff Hayes. I'm the audiobook narrator of the Dungeon Crawler Carl series and also owner and CEO of Sound Booth Theater.
Owner and CEO. Heard it
Wow,
here. Um,
fancy.
Very fancy. So we have these high profile guests with us, and we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming Dungeon Crawler Carl games that we are releasing, which includes the Dungeon Crawler Carl role-playing game and Unstoppable. We've all had so much fun working on these games, and we love these books. Basically, everyone at the company listened to the audiobooks because we all love your performance so much, Jeff. So it's really great of you guys to come on and talk to us directly for this Renegade Con.
It's great to be here.
It's a pleasure.
Awesome. Well, let's get into a couple questions we have. So, first up, and this is for either of you, what is your personal history with tabletop games? Like, are you longtime players? Have you played a lot? Are you more video game people? I'd love to know.
When I was a little kid, my brothers played Dungeons and Dragons, and I always wanted to play, and I never really got a chance to play because we moved a lot. I was a military brat, and I had like all the modules, and I would end up reading like the AD&D modules and just kind of self-playing the games myself. And then I became a big board game guy because that way, if you meet someone, you become friends with them. You don't need to like have this long campaign. And I did that for a while. But honestly, video games were where I really, sunk my teeth into. I played the very first Rogue game on my brother's computer. Like when you hear roguelikes, that's what Rogue, it's
Oh,
based off of Rogue.
okay,
Like
cool.
they're like
I've
little
never
ASCII
thought of that
characters.
before, that there might have been a game called Rogue, and that's why. But I guess that makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's like or NetHack is like a newer version of that and still old. But yeah, so these are text-based games. Well, not Rogue, but that was an ASCII character game. And then Zork, which was a like an actual text, like you're in the room, do you look left, you go left, you're eaten by a monster. And then The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy text-based game. And then I got a Nintendo, and then I got a PlayStation, and then it's been, video games all the way down ever since. But I still play lots of tabletop games. I've played quite a bit of Dungeons and Dragons in my adult life, Pathfinder, and like, silly games like Munchkin and stuff like that. So I'm a big gamer.
Sweet. Yeah, it comes across in the writing. Definitely. Jeff, have you played tabletop games before?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been a gamer all my life. Tabletop has probably been one of the more minor mediums through which I've played games. I did, play around with it when I was younger. When I was younger, like maybe middle school, a little bit of early high school. But what's really funny about that is I would kind of like get bored of the tabletops that were available and just sort of like try to make my own. I was younger, so it never worked out great. But but besides that, I have been playing video games all my life. I think I started with Atari games, moved on to PC with Doom. That was the big that was the big game that really got me into computer gaming, but also, the point and click adventure stuff. Eventually, I got into Pokemon cards, which led me into Magic cards, and
Sure.
Magic was a huge part of my gamer development as a younger person. From there, board games for sure. I really love deck builders. I think the deck building mechanic is probably my favorite board game mechanic to ever have come about. I just really love the way it creates RNG in a game that's more exciting and that actually connects really well with the theme of whatever you're playing. I think it's just a great design. But, the more I'm around this community, the more tempted I am to get back into tabletop role playing. And so that's one of the reasons I'm very excited about, the Dungeon Crawler Carl role playing game. I would say the rest of the tabletops out there, I'm not that interested in the themes. So being in this environment where everything's batshit insane,
Yeah, totally.
It's gonna make it a more compelling and fun role-playing experience and not just people sitting around rules lawyering each other. Games have always been a part of my life. I think right now I'm addicted to Monster Train 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been spending far too many hours on that game recently.
Sick. I mean, it sounds like you're gonna enjoy Dungeon Crawler Carl Unstoppable then,
I I did
if you're a big card fan.
I tried the original Unstoppable. You guys sent me a
Hmm.
copy of it, and I played through
What?
the first. Yeah,
We can send
yeah,
you one. We'll send you one. I think we ran out. We're waiting for them to
yeah,
come
yeah.
back
They
in stock.
yeah they told me when I first asked. They were like, "Oh, it's out of stock right now. We'll let you know." And then they did send it eventually. So I played through like the first boss, and that's like kind of pretty basic, like race the clock kind of thing. But then you guys have these really interesting, in-depth other bosses, like the second and third bosses that I'm dying to try out again. But I'm
Yeah.
really excited to see how DCC fits onto that.
Yeah, I'm very excited too. And, we're happy to have John D. Clare back on it. And that guy's legendary. Just makes some of the best card crafting games
So he's
in the
he's the designer.
business. Yeah. Do you have a favorite tabletop moment or game story that still sticks with you through your tabletop memories?
Honestly, for me, it's playing with Matt. Um,
Oh.
so it wasn't technically a tabletop. It is this new game designed by some friends that Matt met called Imminent Peril, and it's like an improv card game that is so out there. Really, all you're trying to do is kill each other in the most imaginative ways possible, and also come up with ways to escape death in the most imaginable ways possible. And I gotta tell you, playing with Matt made it even better because his mind is so twisted, and then I work in similar ways as far as that's concerned. And so pretty much every time we've played that game, I think my favorite was at what was Drew Hayes's con?
Oh,
Something
oh,
Gary
yeah,
Con?
A
not
and D Con.
A&D con.
A&D
Yeah,
Con.
Authors and Dragons. Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry,
authors.
Drew
Oh.
Hayes. It's
That's
a very small convention.
yeah.
They didn't do it last year,
We
but
we played
yes,
we played it in like one of the lobbies of the hotel with a bunch of people, and it's always a rip roaring, like, absolute fantastic time. All of those game sessions are burned into my brain.
Hotel lobby at a con is best prime gaming. Like best
yes.
gaming I've done. Hotel lobbies, 2 a.m. Like a bunch of people are still like awake. Yeah.
Everyone's hammered, and you're just,
Yeah.
you know, no, that's a good one. Playing Imminent Peril has been some of the most fun I've ever had. But another fun time is, I think it was Jordan Con. I was on stage playing just a D&D one shot, and it was a charity game, so they allowed the audience ahead of time to buy these tokens, and the money goes to charity, and the tokens allow them to call out, and every time you roll the dice, they can change your roll to a 1 or to a 20. And so there was like this one dude in the audience who changed every single time I rolled the die. He turned it to a one. So,
Just trying to nerf you over and over.
so I was like just getting my ass kicked through this entire scenario. It was really fun.
That sounds like a blast. I love convention panels that have that kind of audience participation. I always think it's so fun. Sweet. It sounds like some fun gaming memories. For my next question, Matt, Dungeon Crawler Carl obviously already feels very video game like. What about tabletop made it feel like this was the right next step for the world?
As soon as I started writing this book, I started to imagine how it might work as both like a giant open world video game and as a tabletop. And we lit RPG authors need to be game designers in some ways because we have to set up worlds that have rules. And if you don't do it correctly, you will hear about it from the people reading these books. And as a result, you kind of already have it all fleshed out in some ways. And I loved the idea from the get-go of having to be able to role play, characters in this world, maybe being able to bring pets in and having a mechanic for that and stuff like that. So I've of all the projects, side projects that have come from Dungeon Crawler Crawl, this one is by far the one I'm most excited about. But yeah, it's no the tabletops, both of those games, the both of them sound so fun. And I'm really looking forward to the final product. And there's so many accessories too. I don't know if you're allowed to announce it, but they're doing these minis that we've been working on, and they're so cool. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to collect like just the little lead minis that you would get for Dungeons and Dragons, and I had like hundreds of them, and I can't wait to have some little Carl theme miniatures.
I
Me
forgot they
too.
made those out of lead.
Yeah, it used to be very toxic. They don't do it like that anymore.
That's why you paint them. That's why you paint them.
You paint them
Yeah,
with lead paint, and then you just eat
yeah.
them.
Lead paint, stick it
Yeah.
in your mouth. Totally, totally fine. I'm sure no repercussions at all. Yeah, I'm very excited too. I'm excited for the minis. I'm a developer on those, so it's been it's been awesome. Yeah, I mean, also like as like reading it too. I don't know. As soon as it, and maybe it's because I already knew we were making the game, but like as soon as I started listening to it, I was like imagining myself in the dungeon. I think it like evokes that kind of feeling. Okay, next question for both of you. Is there a part of the TTRPG or Unstoppable experience you're personally most excited to play or see fans play?
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, it's the bosses. I imagine like the way they're gonna handle the bosses for Unstoppable is that they're gonna be the floors. What's the highest level boss?
Floor boss
Floor
is the
boss.
the
There's
highest.
there's floor bosses. Okay. So I imagine it'll be something like that where that's, there's a floor boss. But I don't know, maybe they'll incorporate the boss into like the cards that you can draw, but the actual thing you're trying to defeat is the floor. So the floor itself has all these rules and all that. But I'm most excited to see how that system is used for Dungeon Crawler Carl, because I just see so much potential in the way that it is designed already, that I just think it's going to be perfect. That's for me what I'm most excited about.
And everyone is so creative, especially tabletop gamers, when it has to be some sort of again improv sort of thing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing people like what sort of items they bring into the dungeon with them, what sort of weapons they can use, and what sort of ways people come up with to get out of like the craziest situations. Because again, the bosses are wild, the monsters are wild, the situations are strange, and the spells, the spell system, and the weapon system, they're all just bonkers. And that's gonna be my favorite part. It's like when like Minecraft first came out, it's this cool game where you could build stuff. But because it's so open world and there's so many ways to do things, now you see so many cool things that people do inside of Minecraft. And I feel in the tabletop environment, this allows for that sort of thing too. And I can't wait to see what people come up with.
I can't wait to see people stream it.
Yeah.
Dude, we were talking about that in the Renegade Discord yesterday,
Mhm.
in the Princess Posse channel. But by the way, everybody should go join the Renegade Discord, so that we can all chat about Dungeon Crawler Carl together. But we were talking about how one of our moderators had the idea of like having like streaming an actual play of the Dungeon Crawler Carl RPG and then having your viewers vote for a fan box that then the GM would give to the players. I'm like, that's perfect. I mean, it's so well suited to like a streamed game situation. But yeah, it got me very excited about what people are going to do with it.
There's so many gamers in my company. I'm sure lots of voice actors as well. I'm sure we're all going to be wanting to play this together. And we're already like about to start streaming a new game that one of our narrators designed himself, and we're going to be streaming that. So I'm looking forward to maybe having that opportunity.
Renegade fans, keep an eye out. I guess I'm gonna jump around a little bit because that kind of leads into like another question that I have for you, Jeff, is since you've voiced so many characters, and there's so many like game masters that are trying to implement voices more into their game mastering style. Especially now with things like Critical Role and Dimension 20 with all these professional actors. What advice would you give to a game master trying to flex their voice acting chops a little bit.
Well, first piece of advice is make sure you have something to flex. Because if you're doing voices and you suck at it, you're gonna make the experience worse for everybody, right? But like when I say that, what I mean is that you have some kind of propensity towards acting in general, right? That you are good at drawing people in with what you're doing. I would say the voices themselves are way less important than the narration when it comes to being a GM and setting the tone for your scenes and setting the tone for what your characters are what the players are experiencing. You want them to get into the world, and if you can do good character voices, fine, that's going to help, but that's not at the core of being a good GM. A good GM is a good storyteller and not necessarily a good voice actor.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I concur. I would agree with that. But for those perhaps maybe they're already good storytellers, but they don't have the voice acting background. Like
Yeah.
how what advice would you give to someone who like wants to get into crafting character voices?
Well, I guess then my advice would be to lean into your imagination, lean into visualization. One thing that helps me as a voice actor to make my character voices sound authentic is simply imagining what the character looks like as I'm portraying them, and kind of getting in their posture as well. I think posture is the one of the most uncredited parts of voice acting technique is that you your posture, if your posture is reflecting how your character behaves or stands, that's going to come through in the voice. So yeah, visualization, just make sure you're tapping into your own world and that you're seeing this character, that you're basically puppeteering them in your mind.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Lots of wisdom for game masters. So my cat just crawled onto my lap, which is great because that's a perfect segue to some of our other questions. Would you bring, for both of you, would you bring a pet into the dungeon like Carl does? And furthermore, would you feed them a pet biscuit? Would you risk it? Risk it for that
Yeah.
pet biscuit?
We actually in Dungeon Crawler Crawl Book 8, this isn't a spoiler, but we go into kind of the nitty-gritty of the pet biscuit mechanics. Um, and it's dangerous. But I would. I have multiple animals. I think the most safe one to bring would be Tina, who's my red-eared slider turtle. And then if I could get her to eat a pet biscuit without biting my finger off, that might turn out pretty awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm conflicted about it because I when I have pets, I love them very much. Going into the dungeon, you want to have every advantage possible, right? So having a familiar is obviously going to be some kind of advantage, uh, given that they don't get killed immediately. And that's the
Yeah.
problem. Is like if I bring them into the dungeon, I'm bringing them into danger. So I would say I'm 60%. Yeah, I'm gonna bring the pet. I'm gonna be like, sorry, dude, I'm risking your life, but I need help. And then I would for sure give them the pet biscuit because I think that if they don't have the pet biscuit, their chances of surviving are zero.
And your
Whereas,
chances are zero too if you have like a loud dog that's gonna just bark his head off at everything.
absolutely, absolutely. So like, it is worth the risk, I think, undeniably.
Undeniably. You don't think, well, I
Yeah,
think a
yeah.
pet
The
could be a
pet biscuit.
liability too, though. I mean, I don't know. It's one of
Yeah,
those things because Carl is constantly putting
right.
himself in danger for Donut,
All
right?
I'm saying is the pet biscuit itself is undeniably worth the risk because they have no chance otherwise.
It's true.
So the pet biscuit could turn them into a bowl of pudding, and that would suck, right? But it's still better to take the chance that they're not and that they get turned into someone like Donut, you know.
Yeah, rolling the dice, if you
Right.
will. Haha.
Yeah.
Um,
There may be a result or two that might not be such a good thing, and there's nothing you can do about it. But
I mean,
we'll get into that eventually.
Donut and Prepotente at this moment are both top 10 crawlers.
but
Yeah.
also all the other goats. all the other goats, you
Bianca's in
know?
good shape.
Well,
Bianca's in good shape,
Bianca's
but
cool.
a bunch of them, it went crazy. I don't know. It happens off screen, so
One
obviously
went
I don't
crazy and
know.
killed a bunch of them, but yes.
Right.
Lucia Marr is in the top 10. She made it through
Well,
the
but
dungeon
who
pieces.
knows about Lucia Marr other
Yeah,
than
whether
Matt,
they
I
got convinced
guess.
or not.
We won't get into her dogs.
I keep having to remind people that Gustavo's name is Gustavo 3 at work when we're working on products. I'm like, it's CC Gustavo 3. We have to call him that because that's actually his listed name.
Yep.
Hilarious. So, which of the crawlers from the books would you want to be in your party if you had to enter the world dungeon?
That's a tough one. Probably for me, it'd probably be Imani.
Yeah, that's my answer also.
Healer.
Because Carl would just get me killed. Donut would be good too, but Donut comes with Carl, and Carl would get me killed. Prepotente would be too annoying. Ellie and Amani, that party would be probably that'd be my choice.
Yeah, I would definitely be Pony. He's got that min-maxing, you know, optimizing stats, lowering risk at all costs type of build. He puts things to sleep, he poisons them, he avoids combat to an extent in order to gain a slow long-term advantage. So that's probably what I would be picking.
I think I would argue with Prepotente too much. We'd get in a big fight immediately and he'd run away, I think, is what would happen. But Miriam Dom, before she dies, spoiler, I think she would be a great party member too. But then she comes with Prepotente. So, you win some, you lose some. But then you also have Bianca, which is great.
Yeah,
So
true. Yeah.
If Bianca likes you, yeah.
if Bianca likes me, that's so funny. Do you think you'd survive the first two floors long enough to choose a class and race if we're entering the dungeon?
Jeff, you go first.
No. I think the odds are against me. I think I'd be a pretty good player, but I don't. It's pretty intense and unpredictable. I'm gonna go ahead and go with the numbers and say no.
Yeah, there's no way. I would do everything I could to avoid going in there in the first place. But if I got stuck in there, I would be so dead so fast. I'd get eaten by a rat or something.
Yeah. That's funny.
Get
Well,
somewhere. I get
yeah.
somewhere, but I'd probably end up with an arrow to the back of the head or something.
Yeah, that's probably how most people would go. I would
I mean,
think.
that's how most people did
Statistically,
go.
that's
Yeah,
how most people go. If you did make it to race and class selection, what would each of you choose? Or something
that's a good.
similar?
I would stay human. And I will die on this, so I think most people would. People when they play games, they always change. But I think in real life, if it came down, people would stay human for the most part. But I think I would pick some sort of magical tank class. It's where I could take a lot of damage and still cast spells though.
Yeah, I'd definitely go with some kind of rogue with hopefully some close combat, martial arts type of base. I want to be sneaky. I don't want to be seen. I want to avoid risk as much as possible and find clever ways to get around things rather than put myself into direct confrontation.
You seem like a very cautious player in
Yeah,
general
yeah.
with
Strategy,
games.
totally. Strategy all the
All
way.
about the like bow and arrow, hide in the
This you
shadows.
play sneaky bow and arrow guy in Skyrim.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
really?
the first. That was always my first build in any game like that.
I'm surprised neither of you would choose Bard, but I know that Bard is like a hit or miss kind of situation in the dungeon.
I would need to make sure I'm in a party in order for me to be
Well, because
Bard.
you're both musicians, I thought, I mean, you'd be
Hey,
perfect.
I'm
Donut can't sing. That's the issue Donut has with like the Bard class is that she thinks she's better than she is. But maybe that makes her a perfect Bard, a little more
maybe.
accurate
I
Bard.
mean, if you're an artist, you got to be delusional to a certain extent to think that people want to hear you perform.
I tend to play Bard when I play D&D, but I in real life
Yeah,
that's a
hell.
very dangerous thing to play.
Now, I mean, there's something to be said for like charisma, talking your way out of things, right? As in the dungeon, that's you're talking to merchants, talking to well, I don't know, charisma doesn't affect players, right?
It doesn't affect other crawlers.
Other crawlers,
It does affect NPCs though. So
right? So, I mean, Donut talks herself out of things all the time. I don't think it would be a bad build. but you would need other people's support. There's just no way otherwise to survive, I don't think.
Yeah, all good points. I have one last question, fan submitted, because my mom is a huge Dungeon Crawler Carl fan, and she's been absolutely devouring these books. It's been a great bonding thing for the two of us. She's so excited for the game. She signed up to play test, so she's in it. So I asked her this morning if she had any questions. She said multiples, but I'll just ask this one. And it's for Matt. She says, one of my favorite things is the inclusion of the World Dungeons version of the Anarchist cookbook, and that it appears differently to each crawler. It just tells us exactly who Carl is. When you are writing the voices of the previous crawlers, do you imagine how the book appeared to them first, or does it reveal itself in the process?
It reveals itself in the process, but now at this point, I have revealed every single cookbook author except for the one directly before Carl. And I do come up with ways how it presented itself, like it comes with the tarot cards or it's on a scroll in different ways. And I think that's a really interesting aspect I haven't explored as much as I should have, and I probably will a little bit more in the last few books. But your mom might not know this, but I'm a pantser. I make everything up as I go along. And the cookbook itself was actually voted for by my fans on Patreon.
Oh,
I wasn't
really?
even planning on making it a thing, and then they kind of forced it into existence. So I just kind of rolled with it, and that's fun for me because like I when I come up with characters, I always think of the character first, like who they are, what they are, and how what they are, how that affects them, and then I'll come to the point where, well, if this is a person's like this and this and this, how would this cookbook present itself to them? And that's all part of my mind process as I'm writing, their entries.
How do you think the cookbook would present itself to you?
To me, it would probably a very similar way it did to Carl. It would be a book. If I'm in a dungeon and when I say I'm a human that's like a magical tank, it would come as a spell book or a scroll, something that I need an excuse to be able to look at it quite a bit. It's when it's like a religious item that makes it easier, but Carl isn't really a religious guy, so he has to find other ways, excuses to spend some time looking at it. And I don't,
In the bathroom.
yeah. Like if it came as like a Game Boy or something, that might actually be a pretty good idea. Or like a phone.
Yeah, a good excuse to stare at it for long periods of
Yeah.
time. Jeff, how do you think it would appear to you?
It's a good question. I don't know. I'm really into books. I've been buying a lot of books lately and kind of making a little bit of a library here in my home. So it'd probably be a book for me too. Something leather bound and nice.
Yeah, it makes sense. You both be book people. I'm a book person too, so it might be a book for me too. I think playing cards might be some
Mhm.
kind of cards would make sense for
That,
me also as a gamer. It's funny. So my mom was a bookseller in the 90s. I didn't realize the Anarchist Cookbook was like a real
oh yeah.
thing. I had no
I
idea.
I had I don't know where one of my brothers had found it, and it was a mimeographed stapled together copy of it. So,
No.
and every version is different, and it's the recipes in there are extremely dangerous. They're like how
Yeah.
to blow up a toilet and stuff, and most of them are inaccurate. But yeah, so I was aware of the lore since I was a little kid.
She had to like keep it when she was working at Barnes and Noble. She had to keep it behind the counter, like, and couldn't sell it. And now she regrets not buying it. But she couldn't imagine herself blowing up a toilet. So, well, on that note, thanks for joining us. I don't know. I don't know if there's a better way to end. Well, thank you both for joining us for this Renegade Con. It was so nice talking to you both. Um, for those of you watching at home, uh, make sure to sign up now to the pre-launch page for the Dungeon Crawler Carl role-playing game and Dungeon Crawler Carl Unstoppable. The campaign launches on April 14th. So, keep an eye out there. But you can sign up now. You get different email updates. You get like special previews for things, and we always have some surprises for the people who sign up. So make sure to do that. Tune into the rest of Renegade Con. All of our links are in the description box below, and we will see you next time. Later.
See you later.
So much.